Not all wounds bleed. Some sink, soundless, into the quiet. And it was that quiet, thick, unnatural, that first warned Caleb something was wrong. Not fights, not slammed doors, just an absence. The kind that steals laughter from the walls, that silences once soft footsteps, that replaces love with distance. Tessa stopped smiling with her eyes, stopped lingering in the kitchen when he came home, stopped touching him like he mattered. And when Caleb asked, gently, if something was wrong, her replies were whispers, just tired, or it's nothing. But nothing had become everything. Still, he tried. God, he tried. He made her favorite meals, left notes tucked in her coat, little paper hopes aching to be seen. But the house that once rang with Sunday music and midnight laughter had turned hollow. A museum of memories. Ghosts moved through it now. Ghosts and Tessa, always hidden behind her headphones, lost in a world that no longer included him. Then came the moment everything changed. Over a meal they barely touched, she set down her fork, stared past him and said, flatly, I need space. I feel suffocated. Can you stay somewhere else for a while? There was no anger, no apology, just a vacancy in her voice. So Caleb packed a bag with shaking hands. She didn't say goodbye. At his brother's place, he clung to hope. Maybe a few days apart would clear the fog. Maybe she'd miss him. Maybe the warmth would return. But hope is a fragile thing. Days later, he drove past their house. Not out of suspicion, but longing. He wasn't spying. He just wanted to feel something familiar. Instead, he saw a man. Handsome, relaxed, confident. Then Tessa stepped out. She laughed. She glowed. And then she kissed him. Not hesitantly. Not with guilt. With comfort. With history. It wasn't new. It was already theirs. Caleb's heart ruptured. He leapt from the car, the betrayal clawing at his chest. What the hell is this? He shouted. The man froze, startled, and ran. Tessa? She didn't flinch, didn't beg, didn't cry. She just walked inside and closed the door. Click. Silence. That silence was louder than a scream. Caleb stood in the street, broken and burning. He screamed into the night, into the cracks of his soul. Neighbors watched. He didn't care. His pain was no longer something he could carry quietly. And when he finally fell silent, it was different. It was his silence. A decision. He drifted, worked in a fog, skipped meals, moved like a man underwater. Until one night, he wandered into a bar tucked between forgotten shops. The kind of place people went when they didn't want to be found. That's where she walked in. Lena. She didn't try to fix him, didn't offer cliches, just smiled and asked, Mind if I sit? He nodded. They talked. Not about weather or work, but the real things. The ugly, aching truths. Caleb told her everything. The distance, the infidelity, the kiss that shattered it all. Lena didn't flinch. She listened, fully. And when he finished, she said gently, That says more about her than it ever did about you. It didn't heal him, but it helped him breathe. They stayed in touch. Quiet messages, songs, a joke here and there. She never asked for more, never made him feel broken. In time, the ache dulled. Not gone, but manageable. He started to feel again, laugh again. And one night, while they walked beneath orange streetlights, he told her the last of it. The fears he hadn't spoken aloud. The failures he hadn't forgiven. Lena took his hand. No promises, just presence. And then came the final ghost of the past. Outside a cafe, in the chilled dusk, a voice cut the air like glass. You're still my husband, Tessa. She stood beside her car, fury spilling from her like poison. Who is she? How long has this been going on? But Caleb didn't rise to meet her rage. He stayed still, calm. You asked me to leave, he said quietly. You were already with someone else. I just didn't lie about it. Tessa's anger unraveled into something hollow. She saw it then, the shift in him. The power she once held had withered. She left without another word. That was the true goodbye. The divorce came without drama. Caleb offered fairness. The house sold. No lawyers snarling over scraps. No children to argue about. Just an ending. She said she sacrificed everything for him. He answered simply, "You made your choice. Now live with it." And with that, he was free. He returned to the small apartment his father once owned. He painted the walls, planted herbs in the windowsill, took the writing class he'd postponed for a decade. He wasn't rebuilding, he was rediscovering. And Lena, she remained, never trying to save him, just walking beside him, steady and sure. One autumn morning, they sat by a lake. Steam curled from their coffee cups. Caleb pulled out an old shoebox of photos. Childhood snapshots, toothless grins, bike helmets too big for his head. Lena smiled through every one. She stopped at a picture. A younger Caleb, arms flung around his parents, dirt on his knees. Her eyes softened. "You've been through so much," she whispered. "But look at you now." He didn't answer. He didn't have to. His smile said everything. Later that fall, Lena took his hand, placed it over her belly, and whispered news that stopped the world. They were having a baby. Caleb held her close, tears slipping down his cheeks. Not from sorrow, but from something fuller, something sacred, purpose. When their son arrived, Caleb didn't feel like he'd won something. He felt like he'd finally let go. The pain, the silence, the loss, it had shaped him, but it no longer defined him. He hadn't just survived. He'd transformed. Not by forgetting what hurt, but by walking through it and finding love again on the other side.